What's going on, everybody? My name's Eric. This is Alamo City Agenda, and we are here at the Trailblazer Cafe at Stinson. Um, do y'all want to say anything about the cafe real quick? You want to come? Yeah. Here, you can come over here.
Come on down.
It's all right. It's all right.
It's okay. It's okay.
There you go. So,
Look at how short I am.
so go ahead and tell us about the cafe.
We are Trailblazer Cafe. We opened 2 months ago. We have no restaurant experience, but it's always been a dream of my husband's to open a restaurant on an airport. Yeah, so he was learning to fly, about 30 years ago, and there was never really any place to eat. It was vending machines, and when he was just like a tiny baby student pilot, he's like, I'd love to open a cafe at a restaurant someday. And here we are, we're 50 years old. We're like, let's go for it.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's a beautiful spot.
It's so fun to be here. And, a lot of the kids who we've hired cooking in the back are inspired to go into culinary arts or aviation. So this is the perfect spot for our employees and for the community to come in and see airplanes.
Yes.
Helicopters.
That's awesome. And I appreciate y'all letting me be here. This is amazing. And we get to be able to sample some stuff here soon.
Yes.
So tell us about what we're going to sample.
You're going to have what's called the Abby Truffle Burger. Our daughter, Abby, she's back there cooking now, created it when she was working in her uncle's restaurant. And she was 17 years old. She saw some red wine reduction sauce and some truffle goat cheese and some arugula. And she's like, let's put this on a burger. And it ended up being their top seller at his other restaurant.
Nice.
So we brought it over here.
That's awesome. Well, thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much. Yes.
Just I hear truffles and some people are like, truffles are overrated. No, they're not. They're good. They're delicious.
They are a little too delicious.
So I did this the one before. I'm sorry to Aaron. I'm going to introduce you. I didn't introduce us because I got starstruck by the cake over there.
It does that.
It does, right?
Yes.
So we are here with City Council District 7 candidate SandraGrace Martinez. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
Good. How was your weekend?
It was hurtful because we went up and down hills on Inspiration Hills out in the north side, northwest side of town. So I have calves apparently. So yeah. Yeah. So I'm a little,
it was a little uninspiring.
It was.
Yes.
But I got to keep going.
Yeah, for sure. That's awesome. Are you doing block walking at all?
I do 3 out of 4 times. If people like, hey, we saw something of yours on our door, it's me. So I do most of my block walking. I've committed 15,000 steps every day.
Wow.
So I'm a little over 120,000 steps in the last couple of days. So I can have the toast. Yes, I'll walk it off.
Oh, here it comes. Okay, you want to bring it over here? Here, bring here. Yeah, you can bring it. So this is tell us again what it is.
The Abby's Red Wine Truffle Burger.
Wow, look at that. Jeez. Oh, man, thank you. All right, well, you want to cut it?
Okay.
Go ahead.
All right. Can I say I'm walking? Yeah. So that's a good thing. 15,000 steps. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna cut it, and then wherever I put my fingers, you get the one I don't put my fingers on. All right.
Pretty sure you're not gonna find this on any other political show out here.
Politics and
Politics
food.
and food.
I like it
There you
already. Okay.
All right.
So this is yours, and this is my little fingers.
All right.
So, okay. You go. Okay.
Taking the first move.
Yes, let's do it.
Wow, look at that.
Cheers.
Cheers. Wow. Wow, that's good. That's good.
We're in trouble.
I brought you napkins.
We're in trouble. Wow. Holy cow. Yeah.
It's good. It's very good. This.
Yes. Yay. Thank you. Yes. Oh my
The chef is blushing back there.
goodness. Yes. This is...
Come out. You want to come out real quick?
Come here.
Yeah. Yeah, let's go. Let's go see the chef.
This is delicious.
So good. Go ahead and come
on
on.
in.
Thank you.
So tell us, what was that thought process?
So it was honestly, I used to work at a cafe with my uncle.
Mm-hmm.
And one night we were just really slow. We made charcuterie boards and we had the truffle cheese and the red wine sauce to go over the truffle cheese. And I was like, I kind of want dinner. So I just kind of threw it all on a burger. And it's like, that all just sounds very good.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, it was really good.
Thank
Really
you.
good. Thank you.
You're very talented.
Oh,
Yes.
Thank you.
Keep going. Keep going.
Yeah.
I'll pick you up.
We need to see. Oh, I might have to try a chicken.
Thank you.
For sure. Thank you.
I'm gonna have to up my steps today to 20,000.
Sorry. I apologize. Sorry, not sorry. All right.
Yes.
I'm gonna try 5.
Me too.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
All right. Anyway, what were we doing? No.
Mine's on this.
I know, right? Okay. So tell us about the district.
Well, after redistricting, they kind of changed us up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
It goes from Zarzamora all the way, and Zarzamora, I mean like Woodlawn Lake area, all the way up to Braun.
Yeah, I didn't think about that.
Braun and 1604. Braun and 1604, so it's like this swath. It varies, like the needs vary.
Yeah.
We've got new, we've got old, we have historic.
Right.
Yeah, we have a little bit of everything. So, I mean, I grew up in D7, so I've seen it evolve. And then I've seen some places not evolve, they devolved, So it's just hit or miss, but it's, I think, a perfect place, to continue investing in, because, there are people that are proud of being in the Woodlawn Inspiration, Thunderbird Hills, Ingram area. I mean, they're proud of their communities. So, yeah, I like being there. I'm a thoroughbred. I say that, and people are like, ew, what is that? Well, what it is I was born and raised, well, you know what? I was born on Commerce.
Okay.
Okay, so right where Alasan Creek is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I was born there, and then not too far into that, my dad decided to buy a home for us, and that was on Hope Street. So I live on Hope. I literally live and figuratively live on Hope. And so Hope Street is where we're at now. And we've been there for about 47 years now. So, and the community has changed so much. So yeah, here I am. Here I am, a candidate that can actually say, look, I went to the public school system, and here, I am as far as the challenges that I face. Public school was actually the best thing that happened to me and my children. So I graduated from Holmes High School, but at the time we would say Oliver Wendell Holmes, and I have to say with attitude Holmes, and you have to say it like that. Okay. And then Patton F. Middle School, and I went to Forest. I attended Forest Hills Elementary, but now it's Eduardo Villarreal, because that was my principal at the time. I'm a little, I'm half a century old, a little bit, and I say a little bit. So I remember, because I was in his office once upon a time when I was little, and he was
in trouble.
So maybe, and it was a bullying case. So I don't know if it was good trouble.
Oh, okay.
It was a bullying case, and my dad was like, "This little girl with the pigtails and the glasses isn't going to stand for this." So I remember him saying, "Yeah, you don't need it. I'm glad that you stood up for yourself." And of course, I remember my little patent leather shoes and stuff.
It's always the quiet ones you got to watch out for.
Oh, so true. It was a great experience, because now I remember him like that, and the school was named after him. So yes, what a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
So thoroughbred.
Awesome. Yeah. My daughter's, she's tiny, and I always worry about that, but I'm like, you need to stand up for yourself. Like, don't let people run you over. She beats up her brother all the time, you know. Stick a little bit too literally.
Yeah, well, I've done that. I remember that as a kiddo that happened, and but my brother got bigger than me eventually, and then it was like, yeah, no, we don't do that anymore. We don't do like WWE wrestling.
Right.
That was the thing, like the Von Erichs, if anybody out there knows what that is. That was what we played, and I would win. Take a little bite. Yeah, little brothers grow up.
Yeah, for sure. So what have you heard about with D7? Like, what are some of the struggles that you're hearing from the community?
Well, it depends. Everybody's, yes, and I think I just picked at the bacon. Sorry, it was inviting me. I'm sorry, I can't say no to inviting bacon. So the common denominator is crime. I'll say that. And the others are, because they're newer areas, they're not going to have the infrastructure issues that they do in other areas. So, but the common denominator is that. Now, if I want to go like on a deep dive on when I actually talk to people and we go in depth into our lives because they want to know who I am and why they should vote for me, then when they hear the word mental health clinician, or that I'm really one of my huge, and I'll say overarching concerns for San Antonio as a whole, Texas, maybe even, going all the way to the feds, because they talk about it almost every day, is mental health.
Yeah.
So that actually seems to be a quiet.
It's a stigma.
Right. And so when I say, well, I'm a mental health clinician, and they're like, oh, and they'll talk about their kiddos or how someone passed away and, unexpectedly because of depression. And so it's very much a stigma. Still, unfortunately, but I think we're moving in the right direction because we hear it in the news every single day, locally and all the way federally, and really it's a global issue.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of the houseless people too, are, a lot of them suffer from mental illness, and not even just that, but just in general, just trying to get them resources, which there's resources out there, but you don't know where to go.
Well, that's kind of interesting. I mean, I'm glad that you mentioned the resources part, because they're, oh my gosh, I have been in the trenches of nonprofits and for-profits. I worked at an acute setting for little ones, so it's a hospital, kind of like Laurel Ridge. Okay. And some of the things that I found out at the time is that they would, big corporations will look at your insurance and they'll say, we'll have that kid for 3 days because Medicaid only covers that. And then you have TRICARE, like military insurance, like we'll cover for that kiddo is here for a week. So sometimes, they don't realize money actually dominates the wellness of kiddos because of insurance. And don't get me wrong, some kiddos needed to be in for a week or 3 days. Just it wasn't fair to see that ugly side of, well, they have insurance, so they get to stay for 3 because that's all the insurance will pay. There's things that are going on that we are not aware of, and so I'm aware of it, and really holding people accountable and companies that want to do business with us, and letting them know, especially mental health, psychiatry, meeting veterans' needs, nonprofits need to be held at another standards, because even nonprofits are not created equal. They are not. Yeah. So my experience working in those trenches, I see things differently, not just on, what were they served? It's like, yeah, they were served because they did an intake, but they never came back because we have to give, their deductible is $50 or $5,000. And people, even with Blue Cross Blue Shield, they can't afford a $5,000 deductible.
Right.
Okay. You'll have to pay, $150 because that's what it has to eat up your deductible. By the time it's done and over with, it's already been a year. Your deductible, comes up again $5,000. So yeah, there are things that the corporate world and even having great insurance can be barriers to great care. Right,
and there's a lot of things that these insurance companies and these medical facilities need to be held accountable as well. But that's obviously well way beyond city council, but there's a lot of resources that people can use to negotiate their hospital bills or contact Texas Department of Insurance. So that way they get help with navigating the insurance debacle that it is. Because that's a big thing, know?
So of course, I like to think outside of the box. It would be so nice for city council or even county to put a fund together. And for those that cannot afford a deductible, that we can pay a percentage of that deductible. And it would be nice to have funding for people to pay for deductible with serious mental health issues with children, like depression, anxiety, major depression disorder, or the things that are byproducts of that, which is, suicidal ideations, homicidal ideations, or cutting, self-injury. So if you had a kiddo that is at high risk, why not put money in the fund so we can help them with those deductibles, get that money back, put it back into the family, because finances right now is stressing everybody out, whether it's kiddos or elderly and everything in between. So I think that would be a great step, for someone to put that for, and that's what my wish is.
Do you think, though, it's a risk because these insurance companies are not checked, they're not held accountable, and in a sense, they're putting all these little hurdles in place to benefit them and not the people? That's the thing, is that we don't want it to become we're going to help pay it, and then it falls on the taxpayer money instead of holding those corporations accountable.
You're absolutely right. What I've seen working with corporation as a mental health clinician, as a provider to Blue Cross Blue Shield or TRICARE, Medicaid don't even ask me, because Medicaid is so difficult to become a provider. It is extreme, and that's why people opt out of being Medicaid providers. Still waiting list it's like 2 or 3 months out when your kid is struggling right now. So, and that's why our profession, mental health, with licensed professional psychologists, marriage and family therapy, which I'm also a family and marriage and family therapy therapist. We stay away from like the plague, because it doesn't treat us well. It doesn't.
Yeah.
Okay. It doesn't reimburse us. It's very picky. Oh, well, you didn't, dot your I, and then they do that on purpose.
Right.
Yeah. So then that's a bureaucracy of Medicaid. So I started, okay, well, let's do I have to hire someone that knows what they're doing to fill out all my paperwork as a provider. That's going to cost me thousands of dollars to put me on different panels. So once I get in those panels, unfortunately, then they subdivide. Well, it's Blue Cross Blue Shield Gold.
Yeah.
They're not on that one.
Yeah.
So a lot of us have gone to private pay, because it's there, it's real time. I charge $40. People are like, wow, that's like nothing. But at the end of the day, if I were to get a big program, and hire people and get someone to then send off the payment for me, because you have to hire someone to bill, it's called billing, okay, and all that goes with that. By the time it's all said and done, I'm only going to get $40 out of that 120, because I have to invest in all that.
Right.
So what I'm thinking is, here with San Antonio, I'm even thinking in broader terms. Based on your remark, and I'm thinking, and I did say that to SAPOA, the union, San Antonio Police Officers Union, and no matter what happens here, whether you endorse me or not, they're deserving also of having this fund, being eligible for this fund within their own, because the city can provide those funds, if they wish, if they make it happen. We can always make a lot of things happen. I mean, clearly we're like stuck with Prop A and dealing with that. And so there's a lot of things that we can do.
Right.
And we'll get to that. I know you're going to ask that question. Yeah. So you're private.
Yeah. So,
I think that even police officers who make, good wages, and sometimes they're deserving of more, I know that, their families, are struggling as well, because they bring that trauma into the family. Now it's a systemic issue.
Right. Yeah.
And so they have said to me, my deductible was $5,000, and my kiddo who was cutting could not, enter into, say, Laurel Ridge. I don't know. But because I had to meet the deductible, out of pocket.
Yeah.
And so, are we taking care of our first responders and their families, because they are struggling more now than ever, because finances are getting in the way now?
Yeah.
So I think that there's a way that we can agree to help our first responders and here on the ground zero in our municipal area. Maybe not necessarily give everyone carte blanche in the fund. But
Right.
This is me, that my position is they would only be eligible if they have no prior behavioral, if you will, issues, but that they don't have any deans for violating people's rights and things like that.
Yeah.
So it would be like, positive.
Right. Yeah.
It's like they will get good because they do good and they want to do good, so we want to do good by them.
Like the prison system.
Oh, here we go with the prison system. I love this.
Yeah, you look at the prison system. It's you want to have people. They get good, good offender, or what is it? A good release or early release because they were, good inmates. But
yeah,
they don't have that. They don't have those resources in there. A lot of them for those inmates, and they go right back into the crimes that they were.
I love this topic.
Yeah.
Who are you?
I don't know.
You must have researched me or something. Because I used to be a parole officer. Okay, so what you just said is near and dear to me. I used to be a parole officer back in the day. And so I was only there for almost 4 years. And that's what got me to be a licensed professional counselor, because of what I saw, because they would engage in behaviors and get in a cycle of being bad and making poor decisions because they wanted to go back. So we could almost tell which one and predict which of our offenders, but they're defendants, well, they're offenders.
Right.
That's what they call them. And so the parolees would engage in certain behaviors, and I knew that these are at high risk to go back. But some of them wanted to go back. And this is
because it's like a structure.
Yes. Well, they're institutionalized, and there is structure. There are boundaries, I mean, even kiddos like boundaries. They do.
Yeah.
So what I was seeing at the time, and here again, I'm going to talk about nonprofits. I have a nonprofit, and I'm trying to get it off the ground, but it's like one of these right now.
Planes,
there. It's beautiful, but it's just sitting there.
Right. Yeah.
That's what my nonprofit's doing. So as a parole officer, my experience was, at first I was like, great, I was just a tiny little thing. And, I was in it, went to Beeville for 6 weeks and, we trained and then came back. And then slowly but surely I realized, oh, we got problems. we got a lot of problems. Parolees get a certificate of like understanding, but it's a parole certificate and it says all the things that they need to do. Some of them have to pay restitution. Some of them have to, I don't know, whatever their offense, their IO, instant offenses, right? That's what they need to abide by. They have to, or they'll get repossessed like cars. So we don't want them repossessed necessarily.
That's sad. It's sad that language is like that, because you're, in a sense, it sounds like you're not a free person.
You're not, and that's what they say. Like this, if you don't do these, then your conditions.
Yeah.
will equal your disposition. And so this is one really great example, okay? You're gonna love this. So in every single certificate, man, woman, doesn't matter, it was they shall, not may, those are big words, and shall, okay, shall enroll in Project Rio, okay? Project Rio is like a workforce for inmates, okay, and ex-inmates or parolees. You have to enroll, and you have to. There's no you can get repossessed, if you will, if you don't do that. That's part of it. And so what I found is they would take off. They didn't have a car, so they didn't have to go on a bike. By the way, one got stopped because they ran a red light, and here's a parolee who ran a red light. To report to, and it's a side story. So we've got this situation where people go to, say, Project Rio, and I went to Project Rio because I wanted to know what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
And back in the day, there was all these newspaper ads and postings. They're all crooked, and you go in there and you have to put your name in as a parolee, who your parole officer is, their number, And then what ends up happening? Parolee ends up getting a job, and they don't report, because they have to report every week to parole, to this, nonprofit or Project Rio. Excuse me, this is getting to me now.
Sorry.
It's that good. I keep eating. So this is where I stood up and said, yeah, we got problems, because at the end of it all, if the parolee got a job on their own, and that happened 51 plus more % of the time. All they had to say is, well, I got a job, that's why I didn't go, Miss Martinez. And so I'm like, well, how dare you? Because you're supposed to go every week. You're going to get in trouble. Like, I didn't go this week because I'm actually working. I'm like, yes. So I called Project Rio because I get messages saying, hey, your parolee didn't show up. What's up with that? And they want him to go. No. It turns out that they didn't get him the job. He got the job, which is going to happen most times than not. And then they get what? They get that stat. They got him the job because they own that number, that SID number. So then they skew those numbers. And here we are presenting for more federal money, more state money, and they're not helping the parolee. They're certainly not helping the community and keeping this public safe.
That, you know what that sounds like?
Oh, do tell.
The idea schools. You cannot graduate, you cannot get your diploma if you don't accept a college that has reached out to you. That happened because this lady called me or messaged me saying that IDEA was not going to let her son get his diploma because he denied, he didn't want to go to the school that offered him a scholarship because he wasn't ready to go to college yet.
Okay, good for him. And so, I mean, he doesn't have to go in there right away.
But they denied him his diploma.
Okay.
And because they want to keep that 100% graduation and college acceptance rate. That's kind of what it sounds like to me.
Oh, I get you.
Yeah. And and I don't know if anything's changed since then. This was only a couple of years ago. And I think that's a problem because you're withholding a diploma because the kid had a valid excuse. He says I didn't want the scholarship to go wasted. It's invalid.
I love that. I mean, I love that he said that.
Right.
Huh.
Now they figured out something where he just accepted to go to community college, but still, he still had to sacrifice it, like to say, well, I have to go do it in order to get my diploma. So
these are numbers that are skewed. So this is a common denominator with the two examples we give. That's why stats are strange for me. I have to look at them. It's like who's the one that put it together,
right.
Who is it benefiting, what group is paying for them, So, but it's good to have people like ourselves that understand sometimes what we see, these numbers and of success rates that are asking for more money from our taxpayers, up on the state level or federal. Are they really successful?
Right. Yeah. I mean, it is apparently, but if a kid doesn't want to go, then he just shouldn't have to go.
No, because they're not going to succeed.
Right.
They won't. They're not mentally prepared. And you know what? That actually takes a lot of, from a therapist point of view, it actually is someone who's healthy, not to jump in because anxiety would have made him do it.
Yeah.
Because he wouldn't want to let anybody down.
Right. Yeah.
But he was bold enough to say, no, I need some time.
Exactly. That was
that person. Yeah.
Really good. Again, if you guys have any questions, feel free to jump in. What's your favorite place in District 7? What's a good small business restaurant or small business place?
Can I just say fruterias? You'll see me any given day in a fruteria.
I like the ones that have like the fruit over the cup. They wrap it up in saran wrap.
Yeah, and chamoy. Yeah, that's my best friend. So, it's got to have everything.
Got the hood coming right out.
Yeah, it's a chamoy. Oh, I love that. So, so because one, it could be healthy, and I say could be healthy.
Yeah.
So, any given day, you'll see us at Los Cocos.
Okay.
And then at La Terracita as well. And then La Michoacana as well. So,
okay.
Yeah. So we just about every day now, the last couple of days we've been going to the fruterias. One, because they have Topo Chico. Just saying. If you haven't had one, have one. And then you'll know what I mean.
Yeah.
When you're thirsty.
Honestly, I haven't had one.
Do it. Oh, no, really.
I haven't had one.
Do it and then
send
me a text and tell me.
They have some.
Hello. Yeah, you'll have. It's good.
Is this that?
Oh, yes. Because it's like So
I'm gonna get one.
go for it.
I'm gonna try.
Yeah. It's bubbly water, but if you're thirsty, it hits the spot. It really does.
Well, because my wife had them, then I was like, okay, well, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's still.
So the reason I like it a lot is because my dad would drink Topo Chico a lot. My dad has since passed, and so when on a stressful day, I have these Topo Chico socks. And so I put my Topo Chico socks, but nobody knows I have them. Then I have my little combat boots, and I'm like, I just like feel empowered. I got the Topo Chico socks on.
What's your favorite empowerment song?
Well, I don't know if it's an empowerment song, but I like Cyndi Lauper's "Time After Time" because it's like I told my husband, this is my funeral songs. I mean, they were happy.
That's not empowerment.
I know, but it empowers me because I know
okay.
I want people to know that they can count on me time after time.
Oh, okay.
So that's why. Yeah, it empowers me to keep going, because some people, young ladies are watching me, they watch all the candidates, how we behave and what we dress like and so on and so forth. And they want to be, some of them want to be like who we are and what we can do and what we can't do.
Yeah. And like it to me, like I think we were talking about earlier, it's just being authentic and being to where we're not always in a suit and tie or whatever. Like when I ran, this is my getup. I'm like, this is who I am. This is what I am. Like, take it as it is. Like if I need to, I'll wear whatever. But for now, like this, why not? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but at the end of the day, it's people are watching.
They are, and just so you saying that people, I thought about because I go to forums, even though I have to send my own forms, of course, but I go to forums like for District 1 and 2, and then I just want to say you liar. I want to say that like that. Oh, you liar, because they'll say things. I've been walking around and and I'm like, no, you have not, because you would be red. You would have I know they have no tan lines anywhere. And I'm like, point of order. They're not. So until I see that, and those are things that I look at.
Right.
Are they burnt? Are they, what are they wearing? What shoes are they wearing? And I'll even look at nails for women. I'm like, do they have immaculate nails? Because just saying, because when I go out and I start sweating, my eyelashes end up here. They're literally here on the forehead because I'm like this the whole time. And people are like, your eyelash. And I'm like, I guess.
Well, and two, it's like the thing that bothers me is the politicians that come out only when it's election season.
Oh, yeah.
And you see that a lot.
Tell me about it.
You're like, wait, where were you during this time? I was taking some time off for 2 years,
For 2 years. Well, you know what? I'm glad that you brought that up because I ran for Texas Land Commissioner, and this was last year, and I got 47% of the Democratic vote on $4,000. My counterpart had to raise $1.4 million. He was scared. He's like that King Ranch Scion dude. He was like, oh, this little girl can't win. He threw everything at me. And so and I'm like, wow, that my last name, Martinez, would garner 47% of the Democratic vote. And so I've been humbled by that. What I've done after that, is not roll up and say, oh, why me? So I was cliche, but why not? Why not? Now, what do I do with this? What do I do with this energy? All these people that believed in me across 254 counties. Do I sit and do nothing?
Yeah.
Or do I keep going? So I kept going. I went to the Uvalde hearings in Washington. I went over to Buffalo, New York, and I stood by my fellow man and said, you know what? I'm here. It was a 30-day ceremony for the people that lost their lives at TOPS. So, we drove all the way. All the way to be with our brothers and sisters. And then we came back. There was January 6th hearings. And so I kept participating. So we can either react or we can participate. So I participate regardless of whether I win or lose. And that's how I think, first of all I'm going to say this. Yes, I'm going to say it. All politicians need a mental health evaluation before going in and getting on this ticket, because there are people that get in here and have no reason to be at all, that there's something not right, or they just do it to water down the votes. People get paid for that apparently.
Yeah.
So it's interesting, but I believe that there are some people, even all the way to the federal government, that they just need the short version of a psychological evaluation, because then.
Well, but that would be unconstitutional then, wouldn't it?
Is it really?
Because then you're not allowing everybody to run for office, which filing fees though are unconstitutional, I believe.
Oh, I like that. I couldn't think. It's true. It is true. I had to pay $3,500 to enter the race for Texas Land Commissioner, and I didn't have that kind of money. That was our Christmas money. So we made a decision, my husband and I and my son, that we were going to use that money to run. We have no regrets. So, but yeah, you say it right.
Yeah. So with the whole eminent domain thing that's going on at the Alamo, how would you have for that?
The same way the last Anna Sandoval did. And we had to take control to do something different down in the downtown area. My husband, myself, and my son were artists. So with that being said, I thought, wow, this is a great opportunity for us to, bring some art and history and artifacts into the area. And so we were looking at things from an artist point of view and how we can expand, the excitement of people by the millions who are coming out to San Antonio and wanting to see something beautiful and, something that would take them back into our history. And so, I'm going to say something. That guy that's like last man standing down
Moses
there.
Roses,
yeah. I love that though. I love that fire though. I do. That is what our government is. It's like, it's just our constitution. We can fight back. That's how Prop A got, I'm just saying.
Right.
Did I mention Prop A? Yeah, so it's just the power of the people. Power and money and power and people, But I do know organizations that give great speeches, great webinars. During Earth Day, we got to meet several there at Earth Day in Dallas. And they give us some great arguments against eminent domain. And, I thought, man. And then I realized how close to home it was from a candidate point of view as land commissioner, because George Baby Bush, I call him Baby Bush, but George P. Bush Prescott, he donated Texas land to the governor to build a swath of fence, Trump wall. So I thought, man, that's like a whole lot of cash that could have gone into our education or our veterans, because that's really, he went out the boundaries of a Texas Land Commission. He donated it. I'm like, we don't donate land. There's got to be some political stuff going on there,
right?
Because it was ripe, during that time. So it's just interesting how politics is played. I don't want to enable the political game. I've seen it too much. So I come in not as a politician, but someone that has seen it from the outside and say, man, this has got to stop.
Well, how do you convince people to say you aren't a politician? Because you have been around politics a while.
Mm-hmm.
How are you going to convince those people you're not going to fall in that same political trap that everybody else does?
Well, first and foremost, I'm a mental health therapist. So I have a license to keep, and I've had that license for well over a decade. A lot of people decide to get out of what mental health is or does or promotes because it's a little overwhelming. We have to do treatment plans. We have to realize that we like, when someone comes to us, we have positive, unconditional regard for that person. And we do no harm. So there are these set of values that are threaded into our soul. And that, taking it to the level of the dice, I think it's that time. I believe, and anybody out there, please let me know if I'm mistaken, I would be the first mental health clinician in the history of San Antonio on that dice.
I don't know. Hey,
Yeah, so feedback.
Any historians that?
No, it's just about having that ethic. So the being political and being a politician, or I love politics because my UTSA degree is in political science. So I love arguing in a decent way. What I don't like about politics, and I said before, power and money, power and people, is that money part. It's like, what is behind the decision? Because if it's incongruent with who they said they were going to be, then that person needs to go out. They're compromised.
Right.
We're done. Topo Chico. Woo. All right. Thank you. Yes.
All right.
Okay, so it's bubbly water.
I'm gonna try it.
Yes.
So,
cheers.
All right. Oh, is it better with ice like that?
Yeah, because
Yes.
they're like lukewarm.
I don't know. It feels pretty good.
No, I love this. It's good.
I'm gonna try both. Let's see.
Go for it. Nom 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 nom.
Okay. All right. Let's see. So I haven't tried Topo Chico, so this is a new one for me.
Yeah, I like the original.
Oh, the ice, yeah.
Yeah, you got it?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not ever done it with ice, so let's do it. Do you have a soundbite of ice?
No. It's good. Again, we're here at Trailblazer Cafe at Stinson. They brought us this arugula.
Arugula.
What was
You
it?
have to say it like that.
Arugula truffle burger. I forget what she said. Truffle cheese. Oh, goat cheese.
And yeah.
Vinaigrette reduction. Yes.
All that. It's got bacon. Yay. So.
Although Sandra stole my bacon already, so.
Are you? It's calling my name. Yeah.
And says, careful, eminent domain can come after every property owner. It's we the people, not we the government. Seems like a social worker with a mental health perspective would want to assist and support this property owner.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
Yeah. No, I think, yeah. So what's her name?
Anne.
Yes. So when we were at Earth Day and we participated in Dallas, is huge. I feel like that was a Trump moment. It was huge. Okay. So sorry about that. But I recall the arguments for it, and they take it up to the state level every other year because it meets every other year, on odd years. And they take it up there like enough is enough. I get it. I understand. There's no joke. Eminent domain is frightening. It's frightening to me because the house that I'm in on Hope, it butts up against another big property. And we always look at the zoning, like what are they going to do? I almost feel like zoning, when they have zoning hearings, it's just like a suggestion, but they've already made up their mind.
Yeah.
That is what upsets me.
Right.
Is because more times than not, they've already decided for us, and it's just dog and pony show.
Yeah, right.
And that is, yes. So I get that. I know that their shadow mission is to look like we're being inclusive. But that is not the case. The shadow mission is just to say, we did it, we checked it off, but we're going to do what we need to do regardless.
Right.
That is not okay.
Well, that's nice. I love your input, but we know more than you, so.
No, we have more money than you. Yeah.
And asked, what will you do to lower property taxes?
I've about had it with property taxes. My mom, so I'm that daughter that went back to live with mom because mom is sick. And I mean, every once in a while, you'll see her in a flea market dancing, with her partner. But she hurts because she's been here since she was 14 and she's a housekeeper and she still does that. And so she's got a lot of arthritis and her knees hurt and all that. But her mortgage, when my dad passed away, it was like $350 or so. But now it's almost double. The darn taxes, and then the insurance that goes with that and all this other stuff. And then, so what I told my mom, we have to fight. She didn't know to fight. You know, I don't think she has it in her, you know, to go and protest though. So we'll be out there, you know, doing that for her.
You could do it online.
Yes,
both of them.
Both of them, you can do both. Yes. So she doesn't have a computer. She's mom. You know, mom's like, yeah. So what I saw in the last couple of years is ridiculous, to say the least. To see my mom having to pay double that with the money that she barely makes. So that, coupled with her health and all, you know, we had to sell everything that we had and just move in with her. So I would like more exemptions. I would like to see a lot more. We can do better. There's a lot more possibilities. Let's look at other major cities and see what exemptions they're providing to their residents. Capping isn't going to do a whole lot. You know, I think exemptions is where it's at. You know.
Yeah, I mean, but even then, the exemptions are real vague, and like even one of the Bexar County taxes, they couldn't explain it very well either. And the only thing that I could suggest is always protest every single year, even if you just bought your home, protest it. It is not devaluing your home. Even if you're about to sell your house, protest it. It's not devaluing the property, like your value to sell it. It's just bringing down the value for how much you pay taxes on. So
right. And so I'm glad that you brought that up, because my mother received bad advice from our neighbors, and they said, oh, let it go, let it roll, let it keep going. It went from like 90,000 to 140,000. I mean, it just keeps going. And I said, nothing's changed. I mean, we still need new plumbing, we need a new roof. Nothing has changed for the better.
Right.
Now, we recently just, you know, people there helping her, but it was just, and there's no rhyme or reason, like you said. There really is, like, I think we just do this. They're like, oh, you know, this is going to go up this much, you know. Not okay, people. Yeah, we've got to stay on top of that, because then we've got people like my mom who are struggling and have to work twice as hard at her age, and that's not okay. That's not okay with me. She's older, 74 years old. So I have to worry about whether or not her house is going to be repossessed.
Yeah, definitely. Anne says, let me know if you want to host an empowerment program for your residents.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I like that.
So
I will, I shall. I shall, not may. I shall.
How do you deal with self-care? What's your self-care look like for you?
Oh, I love that. Not many people know that word, self-care, right? I mean, bottom line is, what's best for you is probably not best for somebody else.
Right.
I find that waking up in the morning and just saying, thank God I'm alive. You know, thank God. I'm a woman of faith. So I'll say that, you know, thank God I'm still here. And just being grateful. So gratitude is very powerful. I was on my way over here, and, you know, people are, I mean, they're honking, and I think they said number one with their finger when I'm not sure. But, you know, still you have to ground yourself in gratitude, because, you know, even on my worst day, I'm still blessed. You know, I have a roof over my head. I've got clean water, and I've got healthy food to eat. I got my mom with us, and my children are still here with us. So I have to be grateful. So self-care is not only being grateful, because it does a lot for me mentally, but the best thing for me is to read a Bible verse or so, and I have to ground myself spiritually, because when you're in politics, things get really weird. Like your signs will get spray painted with things that you don't want to say out loud right here, and you're like, "Why mine? Why not the other ones that are around me?" You know? And so, you know, I have to say, you know what? It is what it is.
Right.
You know, and I have to ground myself and keep myself positive, because someone likes to take that, you know, positivity, because I'm happy-go-lucky kind of gal. I really am. But when I need to do something, I will get it done. You know, I mean, that's why you know, people think, you know, Sandra's in the race. She's not just gonna allow people to run over her. Because did I mention that my principal said it's okay not to be bullied?
Yeah,
We're going full circle.
Full circle, yeah.
So this is who I am, you know. But I also have a lot of compassion as well. So as far as self-care, it's being grounded in gratefulness and gratitude. And then the other side is reading a Bible verse and just going from there.
Putting it into practice. Yeah, for sure. what's a hobby of yours?
Oh, it depends. Is watching Forensic Files a hobby?
No.
Okay.
No. That's self-care.
I know. When I'm out on the street, I'm like, oh, somebody's walking. I saw this in a forensic file. I'm going down. I'm going down.
Yeah.
And sisters, I was in the trenches with humanitarian needs over there in El Paso. I was in the trenches, and I still am. I'm hosting Venezuelans in my house because I walk the walk. I mean that I talk, and so I'm continuing no matter what. And whatever happens in this race, I'll continue to go. So SandraGrace4Texans.com, and my telephone number is 210-870-8446. That is my telephone number. Bam.
Yep. Awesome. Well, thank you, Sandra. I
appreciate
it. Thank you for sharing this burger with me. It didn't stand a chance at all whatsoever.
It's absolutely delicious. I highly recommend it. Wow. I mean, that's a big wow.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes.
Thank you guys. Stay tuned for more. We're going to try to see about doing a couple more conversations with some candidates. We're running really close.
Yes.
Early voting starts soon, so.
Oh yeah, 24.
So stay tuned. Reach out to SandraGrace if you want to donate and volunteer, and also, what was I going to say?
Vote for SandraGrace. That's what.
There you go.
Just say it.
Hey. All right. Talk to y'all later. This is Alamo City Agenda.
Bye-bye.